So I just finished moving into my brand new off-campus apartment for my senior year at Bates when a small, teeny tiny, translucent little bug crawls across my hand as I'm laying in bed. And you know when there's that moment where you know like something is very wrong, but you don't really realize how right you were about that till much later? This was one of those moments. This was the beginning of a multi-month journey and full-fledged war against bedbugs. Yeah, oh yeah. There's the timer. Okay, so I turned 22 recently, which is like the most adult age I've been yet. Um, and the thing that I've realized about being an adult is like growing up is just realizing is there's no rules about what the universe is allowed to do to you. Like just anything can happen, and it doesn't matter if you're good or bad or if you try really hard. It's just gonna shit all over you. Um, and so that's what this process was. Bedbugs was the process of learning that the universe is out of your control, and that's what growing up is. And it was the death of my childhood naivete. So I went through the stages of grief through bedbugs. So the first stage, my roommate is here with me tonight, Julia. She went through this with me. So this is our grieving process. The first step was denial. We just were convinced like we did not have bed bugs. Like that was not a thing that happened. I was like, I have a few bites. I'm sure there's a spider. And then I had like 20 bites. I'm like, a couple of spiders. Um, and then it was like a lot of bites, and I was just kind of a red lump, and I'm like, I've just developed leprosy. And that was a better option in my mind, because we Googled what bed bugs were, and we were determined not to have them. So let us to our second phase, anger. We discovered that the bed bugs had come from our neighbors beneath us, because we knew we did not bring them. So when we have parties that get a little bit loud, I have this dream, like this fantasy of them coming upstairs to complain. I'm like, oh, are the reckless actions of your neighbors disturbing your daily life? That must be terrible. Let me tell you a story. Um, but then the third phase is bargaining. And Julia, my roommate, and I, we bargained with three people. The first was God. Um, Please take these bed bugs from us. The second was Jim, who was the exterminator that our landlord eventually sent to come save us. I asked Jim what the worst part of his job was, expecting, he sees all these terrible vermin. I mean, he's an exterminator. And he went, the people. Um, and I wouldn't have wanted to be on the receiving ends of our phone calls either. Hi, Jim. We saw one in the bathroom today. Is that supposed to be happening? And this was like a daily occurrence. And then the third individual that we bargained with was just Julia's fight, which was with the housing office. And she just could not take it psychologically. Like, I was itchy, but I could deal with it. Like, I kill bugs, I'll chase rats out of the room, whatever. That doesn't bother me. But she couldn't handle it psychologically. So she was out. And so she was off. She was in a nice on-campus home, bed bug free. She left me in the lurch because you have to be live bait for bed bugs during the treatment. If you don't know that, that's part of the living hell. So I was living there, and I was like fighting this war alone, and she was like my bride back in the safe home country, like waiting for me to come back from war. It's very dramatic. But we were gonna stick it out. We were gonna fight this together apart. And then the next two phases of the grieving process are depression and acceptance, but they kind of happened at the same time for us. It was just kind of like this horrible removed apathy. We're like, well, this is just our lives now. We can't have friends over. We can't have people stay here. We can't sleep in other people's beds for risks of infecting their homes, and we're also not wanton whores. And oh, I know it's edgy. And so we just like, you have no idea the process. We had our bed bug clothes, which were the clothes that we went in our beds in so we wouldn't spread them to others. We would just like come in and strip down and like get into the bed and just be like, eat me alive. Hopefully you'll be gone tomorrow. But eventually the pesticides, they started to work. It started to, go away. We were starting to feel good. And I actually got to escape. I was on a 2.5-week trip in Europe for debate. And so I was there and I was with my girlfriend, and she was starting to itch a lot. And we were worried about this. And I'm like, I know it's not bed bugs. They don't look like bed bug bites. So she sent a photo of like what the rash was looking like to a doctor back home. And she's like, it looks like it's scabies, which is basically the bed bugs of the human body, which are transferred through skin to skin contact, which we had. Stage 1, denial. I'm sure it's not scabies.